machines, tools, anything that is involved in the process that is not an item per se. And fortunately, in Business One, there's a whole section about how can we set up and manage our resources. So same way that we have this inventory where we can do the setup for the items that were going to be part of the production process, we can do something very similar to our resources. So I'm going to go to my resource master data. So I can, as part of my master data, I can have, besides my resource number and the description for the resource, I can group those by type of resource, machine, labor, or other. And within that type of resource, I can have multiple groups that will help me define or determine the resource standard cost components, you want to call it that way, and how much will those be for the unit of measure for the resource. So the unit of measure is the unit that you're gonna control that resource. So in this machine, let's say we're gonna, my unit of measurement will be minutes, which means that everything that I do for this machine will be in minutes. And I just said that my cycle, you want to call it that way, or my standard time for this machine will be 5 minutes. And I also can, the same way that I can do it with the items, I can determine if I want my resource to be backflush or manual as far as the issue method for the production part of it. I can create, how do I want to allocate the resource? So there's 4 options that Business One brings: on the start date, on the on date, start date forward, or end date backwards. There's a whole different chapter about which one is the best one to use. That will depend on your process, on how the resource is used. On this example, we're going to use the on-start date, which means that from the date that I create the order and set my start date, that's the date that the system will count on when all these times will be allocated into the capacity. That's another concept that we're gonna see later on of the machine. So I can also determine if my machine is running out of capacity on a daily basis or a shift basis. Then the system will help you determine that you may need to move some of the production orders to a different machine or to a different day, just because you don't have the capacity to do all that within the same time period. So the other really important thing here, it will be very useful when using the production functionality here, is that you can set up your standard cost for using this machine. Typically, there's at least 3 concepts that you can use to set up your standard costs for a machine. One is the lease of depreciation for the machine, the maintenance cost for that machine, and the cost of the energy that the machine uses just to work. You can have this breakdown on the 3, or you can just say, I'm just gonna have one cost, like a generic cost, and it will be $11. Those $11, you can have it on this breakdown, or you can have it just as one item. My recommendation is always, the more detail you get, the better you can understand and analyze if how this is impacting in your costs at the end of your production. However, too much detail will give you too many headaches later on. So you need to find that balance between what's the exact detail that I want to have to control in my process. And that usually is these three: lease or depreciation for the machine, electricity, gas, diesel, etc. Now you can also control the capacity for your machine. So in Business One, you can also do that. So you need to go to your internal resource capacity, your internal capacity. So you can define what days do you work. So you can expand this. If you work weekends, then you have the whole week. If you work just from Tuesday to Friday, or you use regular business hours from Monday to Friday, and then you start calculating in that day the capacity for the machine. So let's say that we do regular 8 hours days, and we just said that my unit for the production, for the run of the machine is 5 minutes. So we can do 12 rounds of that machine. So 8 hours times 12, that will give us 96 runs of 5 minutes a day. And it's gonna be the same all day. I mean, the whole week. Unless you work half day Fridays and you only do 48. Let's do it like this. So I have my daily capacity. And I can also have a single run capacity, which in this case will be the same, but not necessarily are the same. Daily capacity is your capacity in a day. And this will be, if you want to do just one single run on that machine, what will be that capacity? So not necessarily these are always the same, but in this particular case, they're both the same. Let's not use any more factors. You can include different factors. You have more than one machine doing the same, so you can just say, okay, so it's going to be 2 machines. So let's say on Monday you have 2 machines running. So your daily capacity just increases to 192, but your single run capacity is the capacity of one machine. So you stay at 96. So let's just leave it like this, just so you know the options that we have in the system. So based on this, the system just populates, and I have this for the next month. What is your capacity for the machine? In this case, I just put it in all warehouses, but you can select just put it in one for this machine. So I have 96 runs that I can do of that machine on a day. And I have all the next month. So the days that you see on red here is we just said we're gonna work Monday to Friday, with Friday just being a half day. That means we're not working Saturdays and Sundays. So if you look at calendar from this year, these 2 days are gonna be a Saturday and Sunday. And this one, since it's not complete, let you know that this is not a full day. So the system can also help you manage the capacity that you have on each machine, or the set of machines that you have when scheduling the production. So I did all this for the machine. Oops, sorry. And the second type of resource that we're going to use, at least for our exercise, is a labor resource. I have a technician, in this case, a junior technician. In this time, I have my type of resource, a labor resource. And I just have that of my group. And in this group, instead of having the lease, the depreciation, and the maintenance, and the energy, I have as my standard cost definition wage, equipment use, and benefits. So those are the same that you see here. And for this particular resource, my runs are for 3 minutes. And this is the cost that was calculated for those 3 minutes for this resource. The second one that we're going to use is a senior. So the amounts change here, or the quantities change here, but the concept is pretty much the same. And if you want also to manage the capacity of the people working on the process, we can just follow the same process that we did for the machine. I'm not going to do that just because of time. But with all this, our resources are set up in the system so we can use them as part of a bill of materials.